God designed each of us for a purpose. We don't understand the purpose. We don't know the purpose. But if you're not seeking Him, how are you going to know why you're here?
This is By Joyan Season 2. I'm your host, Joyan Chan, and every Wednesday we bring you inspiring stories, powerful message, and fun conversations with me and my special guests and friends, and it's my personal mission to empower you to live and lead a life with joy. This podcast is for you if you're looking for more joy, courage, passion, and purpose in your life. Now let's dive into today's episode and get ready to laugh, learn, and live your life to the fullest. Joining us today is a woman of many talents, an accomplished author, ministry leader, inspirational speaker, coach, and entrepreneur. And she's passionate about guiding others through life's most profound transitions. In her latest book, From Iniquity to Equity, When God Shifts You from Corporate to Kingdom Propriety, she chronicles her journey from being an executive clinical scientist for the last 24 years in pharmaceutical development to her current calling, including her first stop as an author. Her book is an essential read for those seeking spiritual growth and desiring to achieve their God-given potential. She also owns Beautiful Blessings doll collection, a company that empowers women with a positive self-image. And she's here today to impact, motivate, and inspire you through her own story and help you find your own inner strength. So, ladies and gentlemen, tell me and welcoming the bold and the courageous Raveen James. Raveen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited. Thank you for having me as your guest.
I'm really excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me early in your morning. So the first place that I always start with my guests is their story. So basically you have transitioned from a successful corporate career to a spiritual and entrepreneurial journey. So what sparked this transition for you, and how did you recognize that this is your calling?
So I have been a lifelong Christian. I've been a Christian since birth, pretty much. But I would say, as I got older and working in corporate starting at a very young age and following it through college, and also attending Christian schools, that foundation never left me. So even though I was in corporate, I still had a Christian foundation. And so while working in corporate and starting to see shifts within corporate in aspects of how we treat each other and what's important in corporate, and just my prayer life, the shift started to change. And that's when, and actually it was a divine shift. It wasn't something that I planned or something that I had any intentions of just saying, okay, it's time. That it was truly a divine shift. And I outlined that in the book about, because sometimes we get shifts. Everybody gets shifts through different circumstances in life, and sometimes we don't recognize them. And there may have been times in the past that shifts were occurring and I didn't recognize it. So for this time, it was finite. Like it was extremely clear that it was time for me to move into another direction. This was a divine shift. It wasn't something that I planned. I had no intentions of leaving my career in this season, but it was time, and it was a shift, and I'm looking forward to developing and building in new areas and new dimensions. So I'm excited about the shift. It's different. It took me a little while to adjust, but I'm here.
Right. So, okay, so you quit your job, right? When you quit your job, like, did you have a plan? Like, I'm gonna write my book, I'm gonna launch this business. Like, did you already have a plan?
No, actually, I did not. I had many activities. Between corporate and ministry, I have a bunch of different activities that I'm engaging and working with. So, I wrote this book starting in July, and I completed it in October. So, no, I did not know I was writing a book, and that goes to show you it's a divine shift and not me. That it truly wasn't me. It was truly a divine connection with my savior. So that's how the book got started. In the same way with the business, that wasn't something that I planned. That was something that was inspired through my ministry and through corporate. It's a combination of both. Working in oncology for years and working with patients for years helped me to design beautiful blessings to, and especially for women and girls. Not just to say that I don't do things with men as well, but my passion was for women and girls because of what they align as beautiful. And I wanted them to know that they were beautiful, irregardless of their culture, irregardless of their race, irregardless of their disease. So, and that's what Beautiful Blessings is about. It's a reminder to girls and women that you are a beautiful blessing, regardless of your circumstances.
Yeah, yeah, I saw some of your collections. That's just beautiful. And you have gotten a lot of success and attention from there, right? Your business. Now, I do want to talk to you about your book, but before I do have a question that is not about the book, but it's something that I read when I was doing research. You talk about inner voice a lot, which I believe is what you call the calling, right? Inspiration, right? And you have a saying that says the words that you speak to your child, I'm sure you'll recognize this, become their inner voice. And I thought that's so beautiful. And so you have referred to your spiritual upbringing and guidance of your mother and grandmother is, they are key to your journey, right? So what would you say is the most profound or important lesson that your mom or your grandmom has have taught you growing up about listening to your inner voice?
I would say the book's characters is endurance and perseverance. That you're going to have hardships and trials. That everything may not turn out your way. That and another factor was to consistently stay in a form or of educating yourself and growing in different areas and spaces that are not known to you, so that you can develop into the whole person that God designed you to be. So I would say with all of that, I think endurance and perseverance. I've had trials, I've had losses, I've experienced all kinds of ups and downs in life. But through those ups and downs, you still have to continue despite the hardships. And that's the message that steers me to this day in regards to my mother and my grandmother.
Yeah. So in your book, you also speak about God's timing. I believe this is like the perfect timing to ask this question. So you speak about God's timing and their plan for you, right? So how did you learn to trust? Because this is what I am personally struggling with, which is trusting the timing of my life. It's like I want this so badly. I want this happen right now, but we all know that we have to trust more in our journey. So how did you learn to trust when during moments of uncertainty, challenges, obstacles, failures, ups and downs, like how did you learn to trust?
Reading scriptures. That is the best time to seek and reach God. Because like you said, we all go through those challenges. And not to say that I have pitfalls of trust as well. We're human, and God knows that we're human. So for me to stay in the form of to keep going, even though I don't understand everything that's happening around me, I have to read the word because that strengthens me to keep going, even though I don't understand or can't see everything that's going on in a different realm. So that's my foundation, faith. In order to have that resolute faith, you have to stay in the scriptures. You have to read the word of God, and you have to build that foundation and relationship with Him, you and Him alone, to get you to that point where you can say, okay, I can keep going because I know you're not going to do anything to hurt me. I know you have my best interest. I know you're here to give me great plans and a great hope. And that's where that perseverance and endurance comes from. It comes from that foundation of consistently staying in the Word of God so that I can move in other areas despite what I'm seeing. When you see patients that's not responding the way that you want to in regards to their health getting better, when you see the world in chaos and it's not responding in the way that you wanted to, when you see people hurting each other and division, and it's not the way that God intended it, you have to stay in the Word and pray for others and pray for our nations and for the nations around us to keep us solidified and to keep that foundation firm. Despite what I see, I know that there's a plan that I truly don't understand, but I know that you have my best interest at heart, and I know you wouldn't do anything to hurt me.
Right. So how do we know it's time to create our own plan versus following guided path? I don't know if that makes sense. Like, because I'm someone who is all about achieving, making things happen. And so I will create my, I will come up with my own goals. I will do things. I will take actions. And that's why I say I struggle with trusting, and there's a higher power in guiding me towards my highest self and path, right? Like, you didn't even have a plan for writing your book, launching this business. So what would you say to people feel kind of lost? Like, what do I do exactly, especially when I'm not hearing anything? Like, I'm just not getting any guidance. Like, I'm just not gonna sit around and do nothing.
You keep going. I'm still building, I'm still developing, I'm still growing. You that's the part of faith. You got to believe that there's going to be a great outcome. If you stop, you'll never know what the outcome is going to be. And so, yes, I've made plans, and some have worked, some have not worked. Because knowing God's timing and knowing his time with you, and that takes, truly, it takes prayer and relationship. You won't get there without prayer and relationship with him to help guide you to when is the right time. When is the what do you want me to do? How do you want me to do it? Those are the things that you will get from him in your relationship with him through prayer. It's not something that because I was like you. I'm gonna do it this way. I had my own plans. And then God was like, "No, that's not the plans that I had for you. Those are your plans." So, and he will start to shift you into the direction that he wants you to go in. But it takes your faith and belief in him. That's what's the number one thing, is that you believe that he is God and he will direct you.
I love that. That is so powerful. But could you give us an example in your own life, in your own journey? Like, what was a shift that helped you in achieving success or accomplishment in any areas of your life that you recognize that's a shift that God is shifting me away from something and towards something greater?
Well, so when you get ideas, we tend to think that those ideas are our own. And like God will
Yep.
give because he doesn't give you the whole plan. That's the problem. Or it's not the problem, but that's what we struggle with. He gives you a tidbit, and you're like, okay, well, and I know for me, I'm like you. When you show me something, I go ahead and fast, and I go in furious, and I get it done. But that may not be the timing. He wants you to gradually start looking at things and start to consider it, and start planning it. God is not an overnight person. It takes years for you to develop and do things. And we tend to be fast. We live in a microwave world, and we want things yesterday, and that's not how he operates. He wants to develop you into that position so that you will have success, and that's where we struggle. So I would, as I move, I pray. As I move, I read through scriptures and say, is this right? Is that right? And I'm constantly talking to him to help direct that path. So he gives you ideas. Each of us, God gives an idea for something to do that he needs done in the world for his benefit. And
Mm.
sometimes we got to watch our motivation for doing it. Why are we doing it? Who are we doing it for? And what's the gain? What is it going to bring about in not just you, but the people around you, the people, your family, your culture, your friends, the nation? How are you influencing the world in a positive manner? And that's what's key to, if he's going to allow it. He wants positive influence. He wants unity, not division. He wants love, not war. His spirit is opposite. So that's a piece within you that you'll get to understand as you develop closer relationships with him.
I love that. So yeah, I mean, the question is the how. And as I know in your book, you also offer a roadmap for people who are seeking spiritual growth and purpose, right? So
Hmm.
what is the first step for someone looking to um, strengthen their faith and or embark on their journey towards spiritual growth and personal growth?
A good church, a
Sorry.
good foundation. And when I say church, because there are so many variations in the world today, you want a Bible,
Yep.
a church that really teaches the Bible and that really is built on biblical foundation, not personal feelings, not charismatic leading, not self gain, because it's not about self. If you're a worshiper of the Lord and you are a servant, then your position is to help others. You don't do it for yourself. You do it so that the whole foundation of everyone around you can have a better life, a better support system, and a better understanding of who he is, and strengthening your community, strengthening your church, strengthening your corporations. You are a light to the world. So, and that's what I would say is the foundation. But in order, sometimes people get misled because they don't know the word for themselves. And so it really takes, time with you developing your relationship with God through scriptures so that you can understand, because you won't recognize a scheme. You won't recognize someone taking advantage. You won't recognize any of that if you don't know those. Start building on the word for yourself.
Right. So I am so sorry because I forgot to ask you about the book. Like, I just dive right into the book, the content. But what is this book about? I'm so sorry I didn't ask that. Like, because I already know what the book is about, but I forgot about my listeners. So tell us about the book.
So from iniquity to equity is about, I talk about my life and ups and downs within my life. I talk about generational curses. I talk about challenges, but I also give you a roadmap to how to overcome those challenges spiritually and with, both spiritually and naturally, things that you can do to help you progress beyond those challenges. And that's a mental growth, that's a spiritual growth, that's a financial growth. I talk about wealth and how you design wealth for yourself. I talk about being a good character, the character of a person. So all of those different pieces of you, your spiritual, your mental, your physical, your financial, I show you a platform of where I didn't do well and where I did well. And that's why I say from iniquity. So I give you a roadmap of what iniquity looks like and what equity looks like when you overcome it. And I show you what I did to do those to make it better for me. Using my
Yeah.
life as the roadmap. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, let's talk about your life. If you are comfortable. So what was your biggest challenge that you have overcome, and how did you overcome it?
I would say death. Losing family members is a big challenge because grief can hit you and keep you and paralyze you if you allow it. It can really make you not want to pursue or make you not understand. A lot of times when we experience grief and loss, we go, well, if God is God, why did he allow this to happen? And we have to understand that death is a part of life, whether we like it or not. And we don't get to designed the time, it's his timing. So, and we're in a different era of age right now in what we're doing in as far as biblically understanding of the times of where we are. We're in perilous times, unfortunately. So we have to be aligned to a spiritual realm, and when that's, you can only get that through scripture to understand and help you process death and loss, and to know that, yeah, they're not here physically, but their spirit will always be with you, and that they are always, now they're angels, and they're used as guiding lights to help you through. That was my biggest challenge. And each time I had a loss, I had to do something hard behind it. So, and that's where the faith come in. God is like, are you still going to trust me even though I've taken something away from you? And you can only do that through faith.
Beautiful. Now, so what is the most important lesson that from your book that you hope your readers take away when they are, getting the book?
I hope that it helps them. They see tools to overcome, like what I said, some of those different challenges. I provide so many tools in this book to help you overcome challenges, and to strengthen you so that you won't be lost. But the main goal is so that you can find your inner self and your inner voice, and you can build your own personal relationship with the Lord, but also have strategies to overcome life circumstances.
Of course, you have so many. I'm sure you have a lot of tools and strategies that you share in the book. And of course, I want my listeners to go and buy the book to learn all the tools and strategies. But could you just give them a little preview of maybe share your favorite tool or strategy with my listeners today?
I'm gonna tell you, the number one for me is prayer. Prayer. A
Right.
lot of times, I did not have a great prayer life because I was in corporate and always working, and we get into
Hmm.
you get into a ritual of just working, 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 and without understanding the plan. If you're not praying, then you won't understand his plan, and you'll devise your own plan thinking that it is the plan. so, that was my, I prayed, but it wasn't consistent. So that is the number one
Yep.
tool that I talk about throughout the book that will help you to align your heart and his heart together to get your heart's desires. Actually, God designed each of us
Hmm.
for a purpose. We don't understand the purpose, we don't know the purpose, but if you're not seeking him, how are you going to know why you're here? So that's the key.
That is really intriguing. And to be honest, I am not religious. Yeah, I mean, whatever you want to call it, you can call it meditation, praying,
Yeah,
right?
because he does say that. So some people meditate on the word day and night. Some people pray, but
Yep.
whatever, it steps to that. I was not a great person that prayed all the time either, because my just the schedule of my life. But it does not mean I didn't believe in God. It does not mean I didn't honor that relationship. It just means that I let distractions take a place where they shouldn't take place. He has to be a priority, and I have learned to schedule my priorities first. So we schedule life, but we don't schedule priorities. And if you want to get to your
Yeah.
best self, you got to speak to the person who designed you.
Wow. That is so powerful. Like, that is the quote that I'm gonna create from this episode, because I always create a quote post for my speaker, for my guest. That is the quote for today. Can you say that again? Like, if we want to become our best self, we have to speak to the person who create us, right? That's just
Mm-hmm.
wow. I love that so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
God wants to use what you're doing for his benefit. You influence the nations, and that's powerful. Through your own voice and your own podcast, that's powerful. And you give other women, we look at you and go, oh, okay, if she can do it, so can I. You don't realize how you may be helping somebody else who also want to do what you want to do, and you're an inspiration for them. A lot of times I'm an inspiration for other people and I don't even know it. So we're not here for just ourselves. Our gifts, talents, and treasures are for others. And you're using yours for others, which is what he wants. But there may be other things in you that God has for you that's untapped. Like this book writing, I in a million years you couldn't told me I was going to be an author. I was dead set on being a scientist, but there was something untapped in me that he needed for the rest of the world too, so that they can get and be influenced in a positive way and have strategies to overcome challenges. But if we don't tell it, people can't overcome it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much for saying that, because sometimes I still get lost and confused, like why am I even doing this, like do I really want to do this, like I love podcasting, don't get me wrong, but I
Hmm.
always, yes, I'm podcasting all the time, but also I have this question at the back of my mind, is like what is my purpose, like what is my true purpose, why am I here, I keep asking myself that question and I got no answer.
It really becomes important. You will get so much more comfortable in who you are when you start to talk to God. And people think prayer has to be this elaborate thing. It's conversation. And he'll start speaking to you through scriptures and he'll put people around you. He'll start putting people around you to help form who you are. If you ask him, God, why did you create me? What is my purpose? What do you want from me? How do you want it from me? And when do you want it from me? Those are the questions we need to keep consistently asking as we get something new. So this book was new. I had no clue. And he was like, it's got to be done this year. And I was like, okay, I'll get it done this year.
Yeah.
You can tell when things when God is involved. Had Raveen been doing it, it would have still been sitting on the desk somewhere. I'll get to it. But because God said he wanted it done, it got done in 4 months.
4 months. I mean, I have to tell you, I have a dream of publishing my book as well. It has been for 2 years, and I'm still not writing my book. And yeah, I need some push and motivation from God.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm. That was him.
yeah.
That was
So
not me. And it was
right,
a day I was, it wasn't fun. When I first got the assignment, I was like, oh, and it was emotional because writing brings out things in you as you're writing. And so my book became therapy for me because I'm writing about stuff and I'm like, oh, wow. And, with scriptures aligned to it, I see it in different lights. I was like, heck, I need my own book to remind myself of when I go through these struggles of what I can do to overcome it.
I love that. I really love that. Yeah. So what are you working on right now, other than the book, a business? What else are you working on right now? Like, what is next for you?
Ah, beautiful blessings. If I get one more friend, ironically, I got friends in Australia, friends in London, because I come from global organizations. All of my friends are all over the world. I got friends in Italy, and they all keep asking about their doll because the dolls that I'm creating will represent nations. It represents Africa. It represents all because when you go into toy stores, you don't see nations. You see two cultures or one predominantly. What about the Asian culture? What about the Latino culture? What about Africans? What about
Yeah.
India and Indians, both East and West. When you look at, I have friends who wear sari. It's an educational thing to learn to use toys as in that nature, but it's also a unity and to understand each other and to look at what we are alike versus looking at how we are different.
Hmm. But why dolls? I mean, what was your inspiration
I love
to
dolls.
create a doll collection?
I love dolls. Girls love
I
dolls. Some, not everybody, but some, it's for those who like them. And and then it's for me, it's a symbolization of who women are. That's how I use the dolls. Most girls and women who loved it said these look like real people. They look like us. They are dolls that really motivate women based on the messages that I put in, because each doll comes with a motivational message to remind girls and women we are beautiful blessings. That's why I created it. And it started out with oncology and ministry. So in ministry, I had women who were depleted, who just didn't understand their worth. And then in oncology, I had women who lost their hair, lost their eyebrows. You may have had breast augmentation because you had breast cancer, any of those things. And with that, I'm like, okay, that's the disease that does not represent you. You're still beautiful.
Yep.
That's separate from who you are as a person. And as women, we tend to take aesthetics and symbolize that for beauty. And I
Yeah.
need us to look in our inner selves to know that we're beautiful from the inside out, not the outside in.
Yeah, that's so important in our cultures today, right? Look at social media, Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
everything is a highlight, right? Everything is just having the perfect version of yourself, showing
Mm-hmm.
the world that perfect version of you, and
Hmm.
no one knows what is going behind the camera, what is happening, right? Who is the real you? Like no one knows. So
Exactly.
yeah, thank you so much. All right. So is there anything else that you really want to talk about? Perhaps I didn't do my job well, didn't ask you the question.
No, you did a great job. I'm excited. Like I told you, we're going to be besties for life. Um, and I pray that that I answer. And anybody asks questions, you can give them my website. You can find everything about me from raveenjames.com. There's a That's my website for from iniquity to equity, and everything is listed there. There's videos listed there, um, and there is my bio. And any questions, I will gladly answer through that forum.
Beautiful. Yep. So, but this is not the end because we always end with our final five rapid fire questions. And every question has to be answered in either one word or one sentence maximum.
Okay.
All right. Let's go. Okay. The first question is, what is one thing you wish you knew earlier?
Oh, that's a hard one. You asked a hard one. Okay, one thing I wish I knew earlier. Um, oh gosh, I want to say it in one word. Self.
Or one sentence?
Okay.
Self?
Understanding of self.
Hmm. Second question. If you could, relive one day of your life, which day would it be?
Um, oh, um, I would say career choices.
Okay. You wouldn't become a scientist?
No, I would say that, but I would uh, understand that life is not just that. There's other aspects of life as well. So, balance, I would say, understanding that there needs to be a balance so that you won't
Yeah.
miss out on life because you're working.
Yeah, so true. Yep. That is a message for so many people. Now, the next question is if you could master one skill you don't currently have, what would it be?
Growth.
Interesting. I love your answer. All right, the next question. If you could instantly solve a problem in the world, what would it be?
Peace.
Beautiful. Last question is what brings you the greatest joy?
Love.
I love all your one word answer. Thank you so much for answering. And yeah, thank you so much again for coming to our show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, go follow her, buy her book on Amazon. Thank her for coming to our show today. I will put all her website, the links in the show note below. So make sure you give her a follow and thank her for coming to our show today. If you love today's episode, and I am sure you do because you are listening to the very end, please share this with your friends and family because that's the best way you can help us grow. And I will always leave you the same way as I leave you every other episode. Show up. The world needs you, and you need you. Thanks for listening, and I wish you all a joyful and amazing day ahead. Bye bye. Thank you again for tuning into Find Joy Joyan podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, take a screenshot and share it on your IG story and tag Find Joy Joyan _podcast so I know you are listening. And leave us a positive review on Apple Podcasts if you haven't already done so. And remember to hit the subscribe button whether you are listening on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, or any of your other favorite platforms. If you love what we are doing and want to become one of our sponsors, you can send me a DM to connect. And thanks for being here. I will see you soon in the next episode.